The mistress is urging my husband to pressure me into a divorce so they can register their 3-year-old son's household registration. I disagree. My husband hit me in the face with a liquor bottle, pinned me down, and punched and kicked me while angrily calling me an old SA who can't bear a son. My mother-in-law sneered that my daughter is a financial burden, and my father-in-law is scheming about how much more money my family can give below my collar. All the bruises and red marks are from the domestic violence I've endured over the past 2 years. Unfortunately, this time I didn't make it through and died in front of my child. I opened my eyes again. I had returned to the night my husband asked for a divorce. This time I want the whole family to be together and complete. The eldest daughter is skillfully peeling garlic while the younger one struggles to carry a bowl to the dining table. The spatula in my hand is getting hot. A familiar scene. I've actually been reborn. The door creaked and my husband was back. They exchanged a few words and laughs. Then my mother-in-law turned and hurried into the kitchen. Enzo is already back, and the food in the pot is still half-cooked. City folks are so delicate, cooking a meal as slowly as if they were doing embroidery. Not like us country women. Once the stove fire is lit, we whip up a hot meal in no time. The 2 daughters carefully watched their mother-in-law's expression and instinctively sped up their work. After the mother-in-law left, I took a handful from the peanut bag nearby, ground it in the blender, and then poured it into the pork bone soup. Apart from that pot of soup, which had a meaty aroma, the other 3 dishes were very vegetarian. My husband's face was gloomy. $600 a month for groceries, and we eat like this every day. Are you hiding some money for yourself? I shook my head. No, it's all spent. Pork bones for 11, vegetables for 5, tofu for 2, and a block of salt since we ran out. The last dollar is for tomorrow. They had nothing to say. I ushered my 2 daughters into the room, then turned and brought out a plate of fried peanuts from the kitchen, placing it in front of my father-in-law. My father-in-law has always enjoyed drinking with peanuts, never missing a meal for it. Mom, bone broth is good for calcium. Ku and Pei haven't had it in a long time. Could you save more for them? I asked gently. My mother-in-law widened her eyes. What's the point of nourishing those 2 mana losers? They're just going to marry out anyway. Why waste the money on them? As if afraid I would snatch it. My mother-in-law quickly filled their 3 bowls to the brim, and even divided all the bones among them. My father-in-law slurped a circle of hot soup along the edge of the bowl, smacking his lips. How's that matter I mentioned last time about borrowing money from your family to buy a car going? Enzo has been squeezing onto the bus to commute every day and has lost so much weight, he barely looks like himself. Don't you even care? I never hit her at all. I couldn't bring myself to say it before. And now it's even more impossible. Seeing me as timid as a quail, my father-in-law slammed the bowl down heavily. Talk to your parents about it. It's not like we won't pay them back. My mother-in-law spoke sarcastically. My in-laws are as wealthy as country squires. Spending over 100,000 is as easy as plucking a feather. Yet, she acts as if it's like cutting out her heart. Clearly, she doesn't see us as family. My husband seems completely distracted. I kept my mouth shut and went back to the kitchen to clean up, just like every meal over the past 2 years. It wasn't until the 3 of them had finished eating that my daughter and I could finally sit down at the table. My husband Enzo's son and I were high school classmates. Because of him, I voluntarily lowered my score and applied to the same 3rd-tier university as him. After graduation, I married him despite my parents' objections and moved to his hometown county to support him and raise our children. Later, my in-laws were also brought from the countryside to live with us. Illiterate. Life's contradictions are increasing since I gave birth to 2 daughters and had no further children. My husband's attitude toward me has changed drastically. Physical violence has become a common occurrence. All the wounds are on my body with my face left untouched. The neighbors all think we are a harmonious family. Outside the kitchen, my father-in-law was popping peanuts into his mouth one after another, crunching them loudly. Jiao, come out. I looked quietly at my husband. We are getting D. The word was slurred by my husband, who then broke into a sweat, collapsed into his chair, and began gasping for air, his eyes losing focus. Thud. My mother-in-law also fell, dropping straight to the floor without a sound. Half the bottle of liquor on my father-in-law's table was empty, and he was already dead drunk. I waited until my husband was completely unconscious before bringing the prepared meals into the room for my daughters. After watching them wolf down the food, I dialed the emergency number. Before the ambulance arrived, I poured every last drop of the leftover pork bone soup down the drain. Both my husband and my in-laws were taken to the hospital. The doctor conducted a thorough examination and finally concluded that it was a peanut allergy. Your husband and your mother-in-law both have severe peanut allergies. Didn't they know? I said, they've always known. But it hasn't flared up in many years. It's just that my father-in-law eats peanuts with his alcohol every day. I don't know if they accidentally ate some. The doctor sighed and said, we can only do our best. The husband was young and was saved. The mother-in-law died. She drank the most soup, went into anaphylactic shock, and could not be saved despite treatment. The police asked what I was doing at the time, and why medical help was not sought sooner. I held my two daughters gently and said, in our family the elders eat first, then the younger ones. But since Ku and Pei are young and get hungry easily, I brought them some food and didn't pay attention to what was happening outside. The questioning police officer's eyes showed sympathy. My father-in-law was just drunk and woke up after a nap. When he learned about my mother-in-law's death, he thought I was joking. But as soon as he heard that my husband had just come out of the ICU, he rushed out immediately. The father and son hugged each other and cried bitterly by the hospital bed. Seeing me enter the room, my husband's expression instantly changed. Mom and I got sick after eating the food you made. Did you poison it? The police officer who followed me stepped forward to defend me. It's been confirmed. Your wife's cooking wasn't the issue. This was an accident. Seeing the police speak up, my husband had no choice but to pretend to behave. Once we got home, my husband dropped all pretense and called me a jinx who brings misfortune to my husband and family, not even allowing me into the bedroom. Perhaps my father-in-law felt a bit guilty, thinking that his wife had passed away because she accidentally ate the peanuts he loved. With your mother gone, it's just the two of us left in the Sun family. How are we going to get through these days, Dad? It's not just the two of us. Father-in-law was stunned and didn't understand. I have a son outside. Also, your eldest grandson who is 3 years old. My husband looked at me and said, let's get a divorce. All right. My husband didn't expect me to agree so quickly and instinctively said, the child goes to you. The house goes to me. I'll pay you back the down payment once I save enough money. I used my dowry to pay the down payment for the house. My husband pays the mortgage every month. He's calculated the joint marital property quite clearly. I don't mind that. I'm just worried that my sister won't take good care of you and Dad. How about letting her and the child move in for a while so I can teach her? Within less than 24 hours, the mistress couldn't wait to move all her belongings in. A little boy was standing by my side. The 3-bedroom apartment suddenly felt cramped. Dad, Tilda, Enzo Tilda, Xiaoan called out sweetly right in front of me. Seeing that my bed was in my daughter's room, she immediately moved all her things into the master bedroom. Acting like the lady of the house, using the teacup I picked, the shampoo I chose, the dressing mirror I bought. At night, I went out to get water because I was thirsty. Passing by the master bedroom, I heard the mistress and my husband flirting. This house is too small. When they move out, the room can barely work for the eldest child. But what if we have a second one? I still want a second baby. You're such a naughty little thing, Enzo. I've already settled it with that woman. The house goes to me, and I'll return the down payment to her. Though when that'll happen is hard to say. Once we sell this place and get a bigger one, our family will live a good life. The mistress seized the moment to make him promise. All right then. It's settled. The big house will be for our first child in the future. The other 2 little ones can't fight over it. Tilda, look at how petty you are. Accompanied by increasingly suggestive gasps, I quietly slipped away. If you want me to leave with nothing, you'll have to see if you have what it takes. Mom, he killed my doll. The little daughter cried until her face turned red. The son of the mistress across the way grinned happily and continued to tear off the Barbie doll's legs. Doll clothes and broken limbs were scattered all over the floor. I snatched the doll from his hands and gave it back to my little daughter. My father-in-law said impatiently, "It's just a plastic doll. If my grandson likes it, let him play with it for a while." "Why are you being so stingy?" Before I could say anything, Xiaoan had already walked over hypocritically, pretending to be magnanimous. "It's Dabao's fault, Xiao. Auntie will buy you a better one later." "Dad, don't be angry, Tilda. Sis, I noticed you have a lot of things in the kitchen. Let me handle the cooking." Enzo often praises my cooking skills. I took her into the kitchen during previous mid-autumn festivals. I always made mooncakes by hand. They loved the 5-nut filling. I've already prepared crushed almonds, walnuts, and so on. Xiaoan snatched the apron from my hands. "There's no room in the kitchen. Sis, you go ahead and do your thing. I'll handle this." I sat in the living room with my daughter, feeling like a guest. The little third son Dao kept chanting, "Mooncake, mooncake," over and over. The fragrant mooncakes were brought to the table. There were 6 in total. The daughters stared eagerly, drooling with desire. Husband, father-in-law, and the eldest child sat around the table, while the mistress divided the mooncakes. 2 for Dad, 2 for Enzo, and 1 each for me and the eldest to have a taste. Pretending to notice me and my daughters by chance, she said in surprise, "I forgot that sister and Xiaka and Xiaoa are still here. What should we do if there aren't enough to go around?" My husband didn't even lift his eyelids. "They don't like sweets." "Yes, a monthly household allowance of 600 yuan. Every time I buy small cakes or snacks, I can't bear to buy too many. My in-laws and husband eat the most. My 2 daughters are so sensible it breaks my heart. They know these things are expensive, so they just take a couple of bites and stop." I smiled slightly and said, "Yes, we don't really like sweets. You all can have them. Eat a bit more. Don't waste good ingredients." When my husband collapsed, it was more serious than the last time. I skillfully arranged for my daughter to go to her room, and promptly notified emergency services and the police. The mistress stood there at a loss. The husband was sent to the ICU again. The police detected peanut ingredients in the mooncakes. Facing the police interrogation, the father-in-law paused for a moment, then suddenly glared fiercely at the mistress. "This time I haven't been drinking. My mind is perfectly clear. It was after eating the mooncake she made that Enzo suddenly got sick." Xiaoan immediately retorted, "I didn't. Enzo is allergic to peanuts. Why would I put peanuts in it? All the ingredients were prepared by Jiao Debian. If there's a problem, you should go to her." All eyes were on me. I looked hurt all over my face. Last time when Mom ran out of peanuts, Dad said he wouldn't eat them anymore, so I never dared to buy them again. If the police don't believe me, you can search the fridge in the room. Lin Chen made the mooncakes from start to finish. I have no idea why there were peanuts in them. The police searched the house. Apart from the peanut ingredients in the sample mooncakes, nothing else was found in the house. Xiaoan was left speechless and unable to defend himself. This time, her husband wasn't so lucky. He passed away in the ICU. The mistress pleaded not guilty, but was still sentenced to 5 years for causing death by negligence. I placed the photos of my mother-in-law and my late husband together on the living room TV stand. I moved the clutter aside, leaving a spacious spot next to it. The daughters want to eat mooncakes. I made a full plate of 5-nut filling, lotus seed paste with egg yolk filling, and red bean filling. Seeing them enjoy it so much, I reminded them again. "Remember, you can't eat peanuts. Not even a little bit. Got it? Mom, you've said it so many times, Tilda." Both daughters inherited their father and mother-in-law's peanut allergy. If it weren't for the mother-in-law's cruelty and the mistress's recklessness, they wouldn't have been able to avoid this fate. The almond crumbs the mistress used had already been replaced by me with leftover peanut crumbs from last time. What a waste not to use them. Just that small handful, and the mistress mixed it all in. The police of course found nothing. Dao suddenly darted out from somewhere, grabbed a mooncake and ran off. I watched him huddle in his grandfather's arms, munching away, and suddenly remembered that he had eaten a whole 5-nut mooncake the day before. He was completely fine. Father-in-law's drinking has become increasingly severe. He is dazed throughout the day, and on the rare occasions he is sober at night, he clings to his eldest grandson and refuses to let go, having lost his wife and son. His only emotional anchor is now his grandson. As for me, his attitude has changed. My child, from now on, we're counting on you to uphold the family's reputation. Father-in-law glanced at the photos of mother-in-law and my late husband, sighing deeply. What kind of sin have we committed? I pushed the newly bought bottle of liquor in front of father-in-law. Dad, at least we still have to bow. Try to relax a bit more. I'll go out and earn money, and I won't let you live a hard life. Father-in-law took the alcohol, slumped onto the sofa, turned on the TV, and started drinking again. Only this time, the snack to go with the drink was edamame sitting next to me, as Dao had a pile of chips, cakes, and drinks I just bought by his side, munching away happily, staring at the TV. He laughs from time to time. He hasn't even noticed that his mom has been gone for a long time. After they all went back to sleep, the eldest daughter suddenly asked me, Mom, Grandpa said that in the future, all the money in the house will be for the eldest child, and the house will be for the eldest child. Where will we live then? I patted her head and said, Wherever Mom lives, you will live too. The younger daughter said with some grievance, I want to eat snacks too. Why does the eldest child have them? But I don't. I pulled out 2 cheese sticks and whispered, These are really good. Even Dao doesn't have them. Tilda, eat them secretly and don't tell anyone. The 2 daughters happily hid by the head of the bed to eat them. I picked up my college textbooks again. Apart from doing household chores, all my free time was spent studying for certifications with my grades. I could have attended a good university, studied a promising major, and built a career of my own. Unfortunately, I was too love-struck. It cost me 6 years of my life. Everything I gave might as well have been thrown to the dogs. Not long after, my father-in-law finally spoke up. Let's register Deba's household registration at home. After all, we're all family. Afraid that I would object, my father-in-law brought up my husband. Before my son left, he must have hoped for this. All right. 5 years later, I became a practicing lawyer. In this small county town, there is a decent job and a good income. Xiao and Xiaowai are 9 years old this year. 2 years ago, I sent them to my parents' city to attend the best international school. The eldest child took my surname and is called Joda. The car is parked downstairs in the residential area. Meeting you this time is my biggest surprise. I turned to look at the driver, Zengi. He was once a high school classmate of both my husband and me. I never expected to run into you because of a business collaboration between our companies. Thank you for driving me back. Seeing me get out of the car, he hurriedly chased after me and shouted, Back in the college entrance exam, I chose my university for you. It's okay that you didn't go. I'm fine with it. Since I've been able to wait for 11 years, I can wait for 2 more 11s. 3 more 11s. Jiao Dubian, I'll wait for you. I didn't respond. Lin, is dinner ready? It's ready. Tilda, your father-in-law hasn't woken up yet, so I've left some food for him. As for Dao, same as usual. He's full from snacks and doesn't want to eat. Sister Lin is the nanny I hired, responsible for all the household chores. I didn't think much of it. Just give Dao whatever he wants to eat. He'll eat when he's hungry. Sister Lin didn't say much and obediently went back to the kitchen. When I picked a nanny from the domestic service company, I had only one requirement: to be quiet. Sister Lin is very suitable. On the sofa, Dao was very happy to see me, pointing at the TV and shouting, "Bye, I want it." The fair and tender little boy from 5 years ago is now overweight, taking up 2 sofa seats by himself. His belly is covered in snack crumbs. I smiled and agreed to buy him a Transformers toy. My father-in-law walked out of the bedroom, still drowsy-eyed. He let out a drunken burp. I reckon, isn't it about time for Dao to start school and learn to read? Dao is still young. There's no rush. He can play at home for a couple more years. Besides, you never went to school and you've lived just fine, haven't you? Dao suddenly clapped his hands. Play. Play. Grandpa frowned. I see Dao is already 8 years old. Why isn't he speaking clearly yet? Should we take him to the hospital to have a look? He's still young. He'll naturally speak better when he grows up. Besides, hospitals are full of viruses. Even if nothing's wrong, they'll make something up. And doctors just prescribe unnecessary medicine to get money out of our pockets. My nonsense made my father-in-law shut up. Mentioning money is a big deal. Calculating the time, the mistress should be coming out. She blocked me at the doorstep. Her skin was sallow and she wore old, foul-smelling clothes. Meanwhile, I was impeccably made up. No longer the JOWN, who used to endure humiliation in silence over the years. I've thought about it day and night. It was you who put peanuts in the mooncakes back then, not me. The mistress, seeing me dressed so elegantly, was consumed with envy. In my eyes, she's nothing but a clown. I said, if you have evidence, take it to court. If not, I'll sue you for slander. Guess who the judge will believe? Someone with a criminal record or a lawyer. The mistress swallowed the words she was about to say and glared at me fiercely. Mom. I turned around and responded gently. What's wrong, my dear? The mistress pushed me aside and burst through the door shouting, Darling Tilda, but then froze in place. She couldn't believe her eyes. Was this chubby man with arms as thick as her thighs really her son? Mom, who is it? Dao felt uncomfortable. I curved my lips into a smile and introduced, This is Aunt Lin. Xiaoan almost fainted. His own son didn't recognize him. I am your mother. Dao, I'm your mother. I'm your mother. Xiaoan held Dao tightly and cried for a long time. The foul smell on her body made Dao struggle desperately. Xiaoan, weighing over 160 pounds, couldn't hold him down and was immediately pushed away. Seeing the way Dao instinctively stood by my side hurt her. It's you. You're the one who brainwashed Dao into not recognizing me, aren't you? How vicious. I thought you were really willing to step aside, but it turns out this was your plan all along. First get rid of Enzo, then ruin me, and you won't even spare an innocent child. The mistress screamed hysterically. Get out. This house and the son are both mine. I calmly said, the house is under my name, and Dao is registered in my household. You won't get anything. The mistress's eyes turned red with rage. She caught sight of the fruit knife on the dining table, snatched it, and pointed the tip at me threateningly. Dao was so frightened that he burst into loud sobs. The crying was very loud. The father-in-law came out of the bedroom and upon seeing the mistress immediately started scolding. You rotten, heartless wretch. You ruined my son, and now you dare to step into my home. He grabbed a broom and was about to start hitting. I interjected at the right moment. She's here to take back Dao and the house. Grandson house. The two treasures closest to my father-in-law's heart. If even one was missing, he would have lost half his life. The mistress was chased by her father-in-law and had no choice but to hide everywhere. Seeing me leisurely watching the drama, she couldn't hold back her anger and rushed straight toward me. The knife pressed against my throat. The tip had already pierced the skin. The vibration of the phone in my coat pocket went unnoticed by anyone. You old fool. She's the real murderer. You've been deceived. Won't you join me in getting her bank card password out of her, long poisoned by alcohol? My father-in-law had long lost the ability to think clearly. He muttered, The murderer, the murderer. A gust of wind blew in. The photos of my mother-in-law and husband on the counter were blown down. Click. Father-in-law instantly sobered up, suddenly swinging the broom to hit me and the mistress. The mistress had no choice but to draw her knife. I quickly crouched down, narrowly avoiding it. A figure flashed in through the door, pouncing on the mistress and subduing her. I saw his face clearly. It was Zheng Yi. His arm had a long cut from a knife. Yet he still smiled at me as if nothing had happened. You didn't answer my calls, and I was really worried. Luckily, I made it in time. The mistress was pinned down tightly and couldn't move, still cursing my whole family. Sorry, but there aren't many people left in my family. With the help of my professional knowledge, plus the previous record of trespassing and intentional injury, the mistress will be locked up for at least 8 years. The shock of that day frightened Dao. For many years, my indulgence and the deliberately created family harmony made the mistress's intensity have a huge impact on him. The police not only took away the mistress but also carried away the eldest child who had fallen ill, suffering from a nervous system disorder complicated by hypoglycemia, hyperlipidemia, and alcohol poisoning. This was actually beyond my expectations. I suddenly recalled that at home, I occasionally saw my father-in-law dipping his chopsticks in alcohol and feeding it to Dao. When I worked late and came out at night, I would also see Dao holding something and gulping it down. At the time I thought it was a beverage. His young age and the severity of his condition left even the doctors in awe. This time, it wasn't just the police who came to question me. There was also a child protection organization. Jodio is severely obese but malnourished. Weren't you aware of his dietary situation? According to our investigation, you are not his biological mother, and his mother had a past with your ex-husband. Is there any possibility that you have been abusing him? I explained clearly that because I'm busy with work, I specifically hired a nanny to take care of Dao and my father-in-law. Every meal is nutritionally balanced. You can ask Sister Lin to confirm this. Secondly, when I adopted Dao, he already had picky eating habits. I've tried to correct it over the years, but he always sneaks food. As for his mother and my ex-husband, those are matters between adults. An orphan is truly pitiful. I have a daughter myself, so I adopted him. Being a stepmother is tough. Even the slightest mistake will be questioned. Don't you agree? The person on the other end was left speechless by the retort. Later they did find Sister Lin. Sister Lin's response was exactly the same as what I had said. Dao is seriously ill and needs to stay in the hospital for long-term treatment. I dialed the phone. 100,000 has been transferred. Use it for your son's medical treatment. Thank you, Miss Jiao. You deserve it, Sister Lin. My father-in-law sits in front of the photos of the mother-in-law and father-in-law all day, praying for them to bless Dao's recovery. He also complains that the fun of this house is bad, shortening the lifespan of the Sun family. He complains that I went to work and didn't take good care of the eldest child, suspecting that I have a fate that brings misfortune to my husband and children, not reflecting at all on how the eldest child's alcohol addiction came about, and failing to acknowledge that he drinks every day without paying attention to the grandson's unusual behavior. I threw out a report. Don't be sad, Dad. Dao isn't actually your biological grandson. Father-in-law was shocked. What the hell are you talking about? Have you lost your mind? Peanut allergies are hereditary. Grandma passed it to your son, and your son passed it to both daughters. So why is Dao fine after eating the moon cake? Father-in-law's face gradually darkened. I turned to the last page of the report. I compared Dao's hair with your son's, and they are not biological father and son. This paternity test report is the proof. Lin Chen brought Dao here to take advantage of your eagerness for a grandson and seize the house. The sudden shock made my father-in-law unsteady on his feet, and he collapsed to the ground. He muttered indistinctly, "That wretched woman." His eyes were filled with such venom, as if he wished he could tear the other woman apart. I walked up to my late husband's portrait and gently stroked the frame. Enzo is so pitiful. Not only was he killed by the woman he loved, but even the son he longed for wasn't his own. Father-in-law's chest heaved more and more. I continued, "But I have to thank Lin Chen. If she hadn't appeared, I would still be that naive and foolish." "Jow, what do you mean?" I slowly turned my head to look at my father-in-law. "Dad, how do you think Mom passed away?" His pupils suddenly contracted as if seared by a hot poker. "Dad, where do you think the peanuts in Lin Chen's mooncakes came from?" Father-in-law's face instantly turned ashen gray. I crouched down and pulled up my sleeve, revealing the unhealed knife scars on my wrist. "Because I couldn't bear a son, because I couldn't give you more money, because I was weak. Enzo's son abused me countless times over 2 years. You and Mom both heard it. Yet neither of you ever spoke up. I worked like an ox and a horse, but it couldn't earn the slightest sympathy from your family. I've self-harmed countless times. If it weren't for thinking of Xiar and Xiaoi, I would have died countless times. If we're going down, we're all going down together." Eunuch seemed frightened by my hate-filled expression. The next second, I couldn't dodge in time and was pinned down with his hand around my neck. Years of hard labor had made the veins on his arms bulge, and his eyes were bloodshot. "You damn woman, I'll kill you. Harming me, harming my son. You deserve to die." A sense of suffocation washed over my consciousness like a tide. My father-in-law's face and my husband's face overlapped, and I seemed to return to countless equally painful moments. Maybe it's better to die like this. My father-in-law killed someone. He cannot escape punishment. My revenge is finally complete. Mom Xiao Xiao. I suddenly opened my eyes, ignoring the darkness before my eyes and the inability to see anything. I grabbed something at random and desperately smashed it into my father-in-law's head. Click. My father-in-law's head was bleeding profusely, and he was in so much pain that his eyes rolled back. Air flowed back into my body. The black mist before my eyes faded away. What I was holding in my hand was actually my husband's photo frame. Its glass surface shattered and covered in blood. Help. My father-in-law barely managed to utter a single word, half of his body stiffening as if frozen, his mouth twisted as he collapsed to the ground, his eyes fixed intently on me. I just sat there quietly, staring back at him. 10 hours later, he finally breathed his last. The successive deaths of loved ones caused extreme emotional highs and lows. Excessive grief led to a sudden cerebral infarction. And when he fell, his head hit a hard object, worsening the condition. Unexpected death. The neighbors all sympathized with my situation, with some family members dead and others ill. I became a widow at a young age, raising 2 daughters on my own. Treating the mistress's son as my own has also become a topic of much discussion. TV station interviews, job promotions, and even being recommended as a women's representative. My parents called, urging me to return home, saying, "The 2 children miss you and they miss me too." I lit the brazier, took out the 3 photos on the TV cabinet, and threw them in one by one. The flames consume sin. They also dispel my darkness. I sold the old house. I bought a new 100 square meter apartment in my parents' city and moved them and my daughter in. I also applied for a transfer to move here. My parents don't know about my experiences over the years. They just feel guilty for being angry with me all this time, so they treat me even better. What I didn't expect was that Zengi also followed me here. He often shamelessly brings things over to our house to mooch meals. Now he's learning to wear an apron and follow my dad around the kitchen, calling him uncle, with every question he asks. Both of my daughters really like him. I haven't kicked him out, remembering how he saved my life back in the day. Mom, dinner's ready. Tilda, there are your favorite spicy chicken wings made by Uncle Zong. The 6 of us sat around the dining table, lively and bustling. Xiao and Xiao chatted about the fun things that happened at school. My parents listened and responded attentively. Zong Yi kept putting food on my plate. An unexpected incident occurred at the women's prison early this morning. Inmate Lin Chun was found dead by suicide in her cell. It is understood that Lin Chun, 34, was sentenced to 8 years in prison for charges of trespassing and intentional assault, with less than 7 years remaining until the end of her sentence. The possibility of homicide has been preliminarily ruled out, but the specific motive for suicide still requires further investigation. I smiled slightly. The spicy chicken wings today were delicious. Lin Chun is dead, probably because she couldn't accept Dao's death. That's right. A week ago, the hospital sent the news. The eldest child did not survive in the end. I sent the death certificate to the women's prison. After washing the dishes, I returned to the room. I took a thin stack of paper out of the safe and tore it to shreds. Mom, Uncle Zong is leaving. Tilda, come say goodbye. Coming right away. I tossed the paper scraps into the trash can and walked out of the bedroom. On a slender piece of torn paper in the trash can, a darkly printed sentence read, "Support Enzo's son as Jao's biological father." Who would have thought my father-in-law couldn't read?